All right. Hmm. Share my screen. All right. All right. So this week's Torah portion is going to be found, as you already know, in the place of the book Bamidbar in the wilderness. We're still on our wilderness journey. Okay. And the actual name of it right here is it's a long name. Okay. But what it is Ba Ha Alo Sekha. Okay. And basically what that means is when you ascend. Okay. When you ascend. If you notice, a lot of our teachings have been about us having to raise up or lift up. It's always about lifting up. I've noticed it's about, like a word we had on Shabbat about naso, right? To lift up, the word sa'ath, which is to be lifted up. And so our Torah portion has this idea of lifting up. So Most High spoke to Moshe, and he said in verse number 2, the border el Aharon. So I need you to talk to Aharon. Okay. And he's where did the Most High speak to Moshe at?
Wilderness.
Yep. And what location? Was it just anywhere, or was it a certain place where he had to go?
Mountaintop.
Yeah, he went there, but also too, when he set up the tabernacle, the Most High would go and talk to Moshe a lot of the times, a majority of the time, inside of the Mishkan. That's where the Most High was speaking to him. He actually told him, he says, when I talk to you, I want to speak to you from above the Ark of the Covenant on the mercy seat. That's where I want to talk to you. That's where I'm going to speak to you. Okay. So here he's talking to him, and he says that when you go into the Mishkan, what I need for you to do is I need you to arrange. Okay. So they got this word arrange, which has to do with our word ba'aholethika, which is to lift up. Okay. These lamps that are on the menorah. And what he wanted him to do is to point the light. I want you to point the light not towards the back of the tent, but I need you to point it where the light is going forward. Okay. And so he's telling him to instruct him how to put that light there. Okay. One of the things, and there's 7, and we all know that, but one of the things that I wanted to share with you tonight in our study is like my job as someone who has taken upon the role of a teacher and someone who is helping the flock get to where we need to go. I want to share some tools with you that can help assist you in your weekly study when you study the Torah. Because often when you're reading in the English, you don't really get the essence of what is being talked about, and you can't find out what does it really mean. So what I'm going to do is I want you to, let me see here. Let me see if I got a chat. I'm going to put this in a chat box. Okay. And let me send it. All right. That's the link. Okay. It's called studylight.org. Okay. And we're going to go there right quick. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, cool. All right. So what we want to do is we want to make life easy, right? When you're studying. So this in particular website I discovered and I found, it's like, this would be a great thing to share with the class, especially those of us who are really interested in knowing how to learn the Hebrew language. This is one of the best tools that you can have. So save it as a bookmark. Okay. And what it is you are able to search in this box right here You can search for any Hebrew word that you want, okay? And what they're going to ask you for is the word or the number, okay? So if you don't get the word right, you're not going to get the right response. Or if you put in, the improper number, you won't get the right, selection. So what you need to do is, like, for example, I'm going to go back here to what we're in our Torah portion. So, for example, I want you to look at this number right here, 5927. Okay. So how are you looking at this presentation on Zoom? Are you on a device, or are you on a laptop, or are you guys just looking at it through a TV or? Uh-huh. Oh, through your phone? Okay. So when you have like a tablet or computer, it'll probably be best for you to look at it like that. Okay. So the number I'm going to put is 5927. I think that was the number. Okay. You're going to put that number in that search box. Okay. When I push that number in the search box, it's going to search for that number. Okay. That's the Strong's number. Okay. And so our root word for our Torah portion this week is coming from the word called Allah. A-L-A-H. Okay. Allah. Okay. And Allah means to lift up or to ascend. Okay. Also, too, what this tool is, it gives you the transliteration. And we know that the transliteration is nothing but substituting the actual letters in Hebrew for English letters. Okay. It's not a translation, it's just a transliteration. They actually give you the phonetics on it. So if you press this little button right here, it would actually give you the sound, how to say it.
Allah.
Allah. Okay. So that's a great little, tool to have. Also, too, it tells you that whether or not the root was the primitive root, meaning its original root, or if it's some other adopted root or whatnot. It tells you the parts of speech, which is good. And it tells you how many times it's mentioned in the Old Testament, okay, which is 1,624. Okay. You can also browse by these Hebrew letters if you want to look at different words. They also tell you, and I'm going to expand it a little bit, they also tell you entries that are previous to Allah and ones that are coming after Allah. So if I was to push next entry, that would be the word that would pop up and it would tell you what it means. Okay. The diction gives you the Brown Driver Briggs Strong Dictionary meaning right here that you can scroll up and down on. Okay, so the basic meaning of it is the call means the very simple. So in our Hebrew, we've been learning about what a call is, right? And a call is a simple action. That's a little group number what? Is group, don't forget the class, group number one. Okay, so that's a group number one. And that's a simple action. So what it tells you is how this word is being used in a simple way. And then also means to go into ascend, to climb. And then also too, let me see right here. It'll also give you, let me see, is there any other way that they tell? Oh, so they tell you that it's group number one in an active way, which is a call stem. The next one that you have right here is the nifal. Okay. And so the nifal tells you that it's not active, but it tells you that it's passive. Okay. So it tells you the passive, and it's still in a simple. Okay. So it tells you sorry for the handwriting, it's the internet. So it tells you the passive action of it, right? But it's also group number one simple. And then after that, you can see, so it means to be taken down, or excuse me, to be taken up, or to be brought up, or to be taken away. Then they show you the other way that it could be used, which is 1C, which is a hifel. So a hifel is causative. So to cause to ascend or cause to go up. Okay, so it tells you all those different ways, all right, all those different meanings, and then it gives you the whole fall. Okay. Meaning, and that, so the hifel is the active way that someone's doing it, causing someone, and the whole fall is it's actually happening to somebody. And also too, the last one is the hithpael, which is to lift up oneself. meaning to do the action on oneself. So you will find all of the different verb stems. Okay. It tells you there's stems, and stems are basically group 1, group 2, group 3, and group 4 if they're present in that in particular verb. Okay. This is really cool. So then it gives you the Strongs. And so, it has the Greek right there if you wanted to look at what it is. But, in the Hebrew Bible, there is no Greek words. So this is for the New Testament. So you can kind of see how they have that there. The frequency list, as we see, it shows you how many times it's being used in the King James Version, 895 times. The New International or an NAS standard, I don't even know what that one is. And the BSB gives you all the different times. So you can look at it and it tells you how many times in the book, like Genesis and the KJV has 51 times in that book. Numbers is 42 times. So this understanding is used quite frequently, but is mostly used from what I see in the KJV in the book of Exodus. So I don't know if it gives you the entries, but you can look at all those different ways. Okay, in Judges, 72. So when you're looking at these things, it gives you an opportunity to search out more to find out how it's being used. But this is the best part about this tool that I'm sharing with you right now. This one here is the book in which I have a hard copy of it, but you don't have to go buy that book. It's right here. Okay, it's right here. All right. So it gives you the Hebrew lexicon number 1357, and it tells you the word, how the root of it, which is the two parents right here. And then you see that it's a child root, right? So it's a hal, right? So it's going to let you know who the parents are. So is this letter and this letter is going to give you the action. So how is these letters working, right? So the action of this word is to work. That's why when we were doing our Hebrew, you have the word pa'al. Remember, it's called a pa'al, which they would say is the verb stem, pa'al, and then you have the pu'al, right? And it means work. And then you got the hifil, and then you got the hofal, and then you have the hithpael. So pa'al, it's all there, or what they would call the PL. Remember? It's all there. So this is where they get that from. Okay. So even in our study this week about our Torah portion called Baha Alothika, within Baha Olothika, this is the root word, and it is all. So it means to work. Okay, that's what it means, the action of it. But concretely, the CO there basically means concrete, because the Hebrew language is a concrete language. If it means something like a yogurt or whatever it is, it'd tell you. So what it is, in this case, it's a yoke. And what they do with a yoke, now they're going to explain to us about what these images, because these are the picture graphs, and these are the letters, okay? And then it tells you the action of the word, and it tells you what it means. So the picture graph, which is the eye, is a picture of the eye, all right? They had they, but it's really the eye, representing knowledge. We get our knowledge from what we see, okay? And experience. We get our experience from what we see. Then this picture right here, which is a shepherd's staff, okay? Because that's what it is a picture of a shepherd's staff or a yoke. And when you combine those, it means experience the staff. So when we do our Torah portion this week, what it is that the Most High is using, listen, He is doing a work on us and literally attaching a yoke to us in order for us to see, where is it at? Experience the staff, experience the staff. And how are you and I experiencing the staff? We're experiencing it by what we are going to see. That's why the I is part of this. So Baha'olothika has to do with knowledge, and it has to do with experience, and it has to do with us experiencing the staff. And the staff is used to direct us to where the Most High wants us to go. And so the yoke again is a staff, and that staff, and we have a hard time understanding that, because if we see a staff, if you flip this picture upside down, it'll be like that. Okay, so really, like when it's just like this, the letter, this is where they get it from. The staff is from this. Okay, this has this hook on it right here, because that's what they use to grab the sheep by their neck or their leg or whatever, to pull them next to them, or to help them, or pull them out of a ditch or whatever. So the staff can be used in several different ways, but it can also be used as a yoke. And we don't understand it because we only see it as someone holding something in their hand. But you could put this staff on someone's shoulders, okay? And it's attached to the oxen for performing work, okay? And so that's where you get your English word for collar, because it's like a collar. So the Most High is, again, if you're going to experience the staff, or you're going to have the yoke on you, it's for the purpose of doing work. Because Yah's intention for his people is to put them to work. Okay. So the only way that he can get us to do the work that he needs us to do, where we're not running free to do what we want to do, he's going to then put a yoke on our neck. And then he's going to lead us to the direction or in the area that he wants us. So when an oxen is doing the work, right, and they're going down, they have to follow a path. And so in our Hebrew language, we have to look at the agricultural perspective anytime we're looking at trying to understand knowledge, because that's the way that we're designed. We're designed to use our 5 senses, okay, which is number one, you got the eye, you got your mouth, which has to do with your taste, you got your touch, right? You got the touch, which is with your hands and your feet. You have your eyes, which is for sight. You got your nose, which is for smelling, right? And to reason. And then finally, we got your ear. Okay, and you got your ears. And your ears are to discern or to understand, and that is literally to hear. Okay. So the sight, the taste, the touch, and the smell, and the hearing. So everything that is in our environment and we see, you could taste it, you could touch it, you know what I mean? Like, for example, if I say a tree, just based off of your eyes, you know what it looks like. I can say it and you know what it looks like. You don't have to see it right now. You could describe it to me. You could say it has leaves, it has fruit, it has, it's growing straight or it's growing sideways, it has a root system, all those things. You can touch a tree. You can smell some trees. If you want to, you can bite it. You can taste and eat the bark of it, okay? You can hear the leaves that are being blown, right? So all of our senses are employed when we are involved in our surrounding environment. Okay. So that's what this language is about capturing those ideas from those things that are around us. Okay. So then even within this lexicon that you're going to get, which is nothing but a big Hebrew dictionary, now you have one completely at your disposal. Okay. And it helps you too along the way, because when we're going over our classes and I'm talking about some of these words, you're already like, oh, I remember studying that. I'm very familiar with that. And then you re-energize yourself, and then you reiterate what you've already learned. You're establishing it a lot better than what you would for me just telling it to you. Okay. So the word, again, the action is called from all is to rise. Okay, that's an action. So you see it's work from an agricultural perspective, but it also has this idea about raising. I need to raise something. And then it doesn't give you the concrete in this word called a haul. It doesn't give it to you, but it's from the same root, all. Here it is. That's the noun. So in your lexicon, it's going to give you the nouns. This noun with the F1 is going to tell you that it's the first feminine type, because you might have a feminine 1, feminine 2, and a feminine 3. Okay. The noun might be that. So this one is called Allah. Okay. Ahala is really called Ahala. So Ahala is the rising. Okay, again, the same action as this one is, and this one here all means above. Why? Because you have to raise something to get above, or high, or upon. So all these are the different ways or words that can be used for all, and you would see it in Hebrew as all. Sometimes you would see it just by itself as a preposition, because sometimes it's used as a preposition. So these are all the different ideas. And so when you're looking at that text, you want to look at that as well. Okay. So yeah, they give you the feminine. If they have a feminine noun, they would tell you it's feminine. And that femininity is found in that letter, which is the hey right here, which is the man with his hands up, okay, which meaning to behold. So you're going to learn all those things, and everything will start making sense to you. An Allah, or what they call Allah, is a rising of the smoke from a burnt offering, because our burnt offerings are called an olah. Okay, it's called an olah. That's one of the types of offerings that we have. Okay, to experience the staff. Okay, here's one. This is more, I think, this is called goloth. Goloth has to do with captivity. A yoke was placed on the captives. You know, the thing that was put on our neck, that's a yoke, and to be taken back. Captivity. So captivity has to do with the all. It's in there. It's right in there. Okay. So you'll find these concepts in some of these other nouns and words. Let me see. This in particular word is huge. You look at all the different connections. Look at all the different names that you have. So just in this one alone, you would see that you got ma'al right here, above, upward, high and exceeding. You got ma'ala, which is to the ascent, a place of straight or steep incline. Then you have Ali, a pestle. You have a trench. You have a rising. You have a youth, an alam. An alam is a young male. Almana, excuse me, an almana. Yeah, it's alama. Alama, so alam and alama. Alama is a female. You just put that hey on the end. That's why it's F1, because it's a feminine. Okay. And so they have all these different names and all these different words that all have to do with all. So in our Torah portion, does all this apply to what we're reading? The action of that is no. But they share that root, as you can see in all these different words. They all share the root of something of being worked, like the working of metals, or the doing works and inventions, working of metals, doing work and deeds and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So I wanted to share this tool with you because I wanted you to add something to your arsenal when you're studying. All right. Here again. And then of course, you can see, oh, here it is. It's one of my favorites. Allah right here. So here's the all right here. That means to work or lift up. And this is Allah. And it is, the name of it is called for a leaf, right? That's a leaf. And then why? Because as high in the tree, because a leaf is high, it's lifted up. And so they'll give you the Strong's number. You can look that up if you want in your little search box, and you're good to go. Okay. They also too give you not only the noun, but they actually give you the verb too. You'll get the verb of the actual word. So Allah can also be a verb right here. The ayin, the lamed, and the hey. The ayin, the lamed, and the hey, right there. So one is a verb, is the action of it, and the other one is a noun. See? And so you got to be able to look at that and say, okay, I know what that is. You know, that's a verb. That's the action. Okay, this one here's the noun. What else do we have? All right, so you can see it's huge. Last but least, they have other adopted roots, because this is a family of letters. I never want you to forget that. So the all has adopted roots that they've adopted into their family, just like adopting a child. And these are all the ones that are adopted. Okay. They're all adopted. Okay. So you can go over here and you'll find out this also means to rejoice. This one also is to triumph. So it's not just not work in that sense. Okay. Right. that means laborer. And then, of course, I think that's pa. Yeah, pa means to work or to make. And I think you and I went over this one. We went over that on Shabbat, which is transgress, which was our word for, or to be unfaithful is ma'al, which is to transgress. And that can happen either intentionally or unintentionally. Okay. So that's how you find these different words. That's how you expand your learning and your understanding of the Torah portion. That's how I've been able to do it, is through looking at these things and, of course, meditating upon them and putting the pieces together. Okay. And also, too, this is going to help you in learning the Hebrew language. Okay. Let's just click on right here, right quick, for the Aleph. Let's just click on that letter just to show you. So here it is. You get the whole entire alphabet from, of course, they got it from left to right, but it gives you the first letter or the first word that is used in the Hebrew alphabet, which is father. Okay. And then second, they give you the Strong's 2, and then they give you the 3. So you got Av, and then you got Ave. See, so you can see that it may have the same letters. It might say Aleph and a Bet, but one might be a father, and the next one will be fruits and greenness found in this one. And all you're doing is pronouncing, giving a different pronunciation, Av versus Ave. But the shoots or the beginning of the flowers is from the father. Okay. And then so you continue, and it gives you all the words in order. So it's like a big old huge dictionary. What I do sometimes is I go through these just for the sake. I might study the Aleph, Bet, just all the letters with Aleph Bet, and it gives you names. So you get to see what the names are, and then you can see the connection between Av and then the father, and then destruction, and then, willingness, and all these types of things. All right. So this is a really great tool. Gives you transliteration and phonetics on it as well. Okay. I hope you guys like that tool. I loved it when I found it. I was like, this is awesome. And that's pretty much all I do on Study Light. I don't go into their historical writings and pastoral resources or nothing like that. I just use that for whatever I need to use it for. And that's pretty much it. It's just a big, huge free biblical dictionary for you. Okay. So now back to our Torah portion. Now that we have access to understanding what all is and the work and the lifting up and ascending, the Most High is letting us know that, hey, even in the light that I'm giving to Aharon, because this light in this arrangement is pointed through directly, because that is a direct arrow to the Aniroth. So when you're looking at your Torah this week, and especially when you take the time and look at it in Hebrew, you want to look for these things. You want to see what the verb is, and it's causative, and then he wants to know where's that action going. And so the action is being right here to these lamps. That's where the focus is. Okay. So when you look at the Aleph in the top, it's a direct object marker. Is pointing directly to the object in which the Most High is saying this action needs to happen. So when you read your Torah, I want you to remember or try to understand what verbs are being used, because everything is about something happening. Okay, so I want you to look for the actions that are taking place, and I want you to see where those actions are going, because it's not on accident that the Most High has introduced the Hana Roth, which is the lamps to us. And if you notice, and I'm just going through right quick, if you notice in verse number 2, he said that he directly pointed to that one. Verse number 3, is there any ets there? Yeah, there is. Okay. The second one is you find out who the subject is, and you find out who the object is. And so here's the verb, and it's in a PL. So is this a very simple way, or is this a very forceful way, or what kind of way is it?
Causative.
Yeah, the PL is group number 2. It's very forceful. So this command right here is not any other way but force. And the one who's doing that is Yahweh. And Yahweh is directing this directly towards this guy, Moshe. Okay, so he was very firm with him. So when we look at this and we look at the language and how it's in its text, we find, okay, well, how was the Most High talking to him? Because he said he called Moshe and he's talking to him, right? So even when you look at in verse number 1, word number 1, why dober? He spoke to him in a very forceful way. So that tells you something about Yah. The he here is Yohewah. He's talking to El Moshe. In what kind of way? And he's talking to him in a very forceful way. It's not a simple way. He's not telling him, he's not causing him to do this. He's giving him a command. And when you look at it in this forceful action, you have to say, okay, well, that's that to El. So we just say, oh, that's two. That's easy. But no, he's not talking to him just like just to him. The Aleph represents what?
Authority, strength.
Yeah, it's strength, and it's from the ox head. Okay. And then you have the Lamed right here, which means a staff, and it's to lead. Okay. So we know a staff can either be a yoke too. That would, like we just learned. So Yah is putting a strong staff or yoke on him. So later on in our Torah portion, you're going to find out that Moshe couldn't take it any longer. He asked the Most High to give him some relief because of this strength or this very strong yoke that Yah has put on him. Sometimes our Torah portions is not about Israel in a sense that, the whole entire nation. It might be focused on an individual that Yah wants us to know about. And in this case, he says to Moshe, he spoke to him and he told him, go talk to Aharon. Go talk to him. And you tell him this. So now the burden or the yoke is put on him. And then Yah says, okay, now you go tell him what I said. See? So when we put those pieces together and we start looking at the language for what it really is, we can have a better understanding of what Yah is saying and how he's saying it. So we got, he's talking forcefully. He's bringing him to the Mishkan. He's directing the staff on him and putting a yoke on him. He's telling him what to go tell Aharon to do. He's telling Aharon, I need you to, lift up when you go ascend up. Okay, so it says when you arrange, that's a downplay on what's going on here. Arrange is not, that's an English Western concept. That, I didn't see that word arrange in our, go look it up, 59:27. It's when you do this work and when you ascend. So Yah's giving us a message. Like, okay, when I put the work on you, because that's what I'm telling you to do, when I put this on you, on him, you are to do it this way, okay? On this, especially. Why do I want those lamps facing towards everything else? Why am I interested? We don't know the answer to that yet. Hopefully, if we pray it and ask the Most High to be merciful and show us what the Haneroth is, we know the Anar is light. We know that. Anar means a lamp. And Neroth means lamps. So there were 7 of them. There's mysteries that are found in the numbers that we have. Is it complete? Yes, but there's something about the 7 lamps that he says, I need you to put it, and I don't need you to put it against, I need you to be in front of it. So let's look at this word right quick, 41:36, just so I can show you. They said against. They said against, but I know that word mul is used for circumcision, is to be in front. Okay. So let's go, what is it, 41:36? Going back, give you another example, 4136 in the search for, makes it easy, pops up. You got the Hebrew word right here, mul or mul. He's going to really make it sound mul. He's doing it very slow. Look at it. That's the meaning right there, in front and opposite, in front of. It's in the opposite direction, in front of, okay? Towards the front of, see? So you look at that and then you go scroll down and you find out, okay, well, what about, so what is it, Maul? Oh, okay. So it has the Mem and the Lamed as its parent. Okay, the action is to speak. What? A word. Abstract. Continue, because you don't know what continue is because it's abstract. Okay. But you do know what a word is, and you do know what the action of speaking is. So this is where you get your word. I think it's just a mala mala, which is to speak and say. What it is a continuation of segments of words which fill the whole. Okay, so it's a chain of words blended together to form a sentence. So then you ask yourself the question. It has to do with speech, it has to do with speaking, it has to do with saying, it has to do with a chain of words, you know. So everything here has to do with words. So when you look at that, you got to ask yourself the question, what does this have to do with a lighting the menorah? What does it have to do with lighting the menorah? It's interesting. Go all the way through and you search and you be like, okay, well, okay, so we got the menorah. We know that it's 7 branches. So here, there's a Hebrew word right here called a meal, which has to do with a branch. The conglomeration of branches of a tree, like a menorah, because that's what a menorah is. A menorah has 7 branches. Six branches on each side, and a 7 lit here in a sec over here. Goes up, goes up, goes up, goes up, and goes up. That's the menorah. How many pounds of gold was it? You guys remember? 66 pounds of gold, pure gold out of one piece. That's how it was made. According to what Moshe saw, okay? Not according to any plans that he wrote out. It's what he saw. And he came down, and as they were building it, he was like, okay, this is what it needs to look like. And so he was over it. But as you can see, this has to do with something with speech. So when we go back to our Torah, you're going to look and say, okay, you are concerned with this lamp. When Yah calls Moshe into the tent of the tabernacle of meeting everybody, it's not just to have conversations like, hey, how are you? How's your day? It's not that. He's giving him the instructions to tell him where I need you to do, okay? On the menorah, to make sure that you arrange its lamps. It's 7 lamps. So what I take so far from these lamps are in the light, because I need you to keep it lit. And how long should it be lit, Kent? Anybody? How long should those lamps be lit?
Always.
Always. So when you look at the lamp being lit, right, and it has to stay lit, and it has to do with speaking, right? Right? Find a connection between the lamps staying lit and speech. Okay? Speech. When you think about light, okay? When I say light, what's the first thing you think about? What's the first time that light is even mentioned in the Torah?
In the beginning.
In the beginning. That's the first words that the Creator had even spoke. Those are the first words that came out of the Most High's mouth. Okay. So we're in chapter number 8. Look at this. Now look what he's about to show us. Remember, we asked him to open up our eyes so we can see and hear the wonderful things that are in this Torah, and we thanked him for that. Look, it said this. It says that the earth was, the haaretz existed, okay? It was tahu. It was formless, and it was void, and it was wakoshek. It was complete darkness where? There's our word that we used earlier today. All, above or over. So he's telling the experience the staff, okay? So he's about to do what? Yah's about to do some work, okay? Over the face of the earth, okay? And he said, and listen, and it to home, and the spirit, which is the spirit or the wind of Yah, of Elohim, was hovering upon the face of the waters. Vayomer Elohim, Yahi, let there exist or, and Wahi, there was or. And Vayar Elohim et the Haor ki tov, that it was good. And Vayavdel Elohim the Bain, the Haor, and the Uvein, the Hakoshek. He divided the light between the light and the darkness. So when we looked at our, when we went to go look up the word, remember, we went to go look up this word and we saw that it had to do, well, that's more right there. It had to do with words and it had to do with speech. You see? So the Most High is letting us know in our Torah portion that, look, I'm asking him to make sure that the lamps are always lit because he's speaking. Light brings organization and it brings order and it expels darkness. So the Most High is letting us know when his presence is there, the lights can never go out. See, so the connection between giving light or having that light, that menorah lit, directly corresponds to the words that the Most High spoke in the beginning when things were in disorder and when there was chaos. So the Most High is saying, Aaron, make sure that you light these lamps and they have to stay lit all the time. Okay. And they have to be, and the light has to be directed towards the place that I'm telling you to direct it toward, because that light has to do with Yah's words. It has to do with his words. Okay. And he said in verse number 3, and Ya'as, and he did. This word Ya'as here, did or make or made, is used a lot. Okay. This whole Torah portion is prolific with this in particular word. And he did it. It was established with Aharon to the front of the lampstand of the Hamenorah. And again, and Elah, and he caused it to be arranged, the Nahanaor or the Narotheha, the lamps, Ka'asher Ziwa has commanded Yahweh eth Moshe. Okay, so he's doing what the Most High had commanded Moshe to tell him to do. So he's following this. Okay, so the link or the chain is this, is that when Most High tells us something to do, you and I, it has to be established, because that's what Cain means. So Cain right here is what? It's the cough. What's the cough mean in Hebrew?
Palm of the hand.
Palm of the hand. What's the noon? What's the noon?
Seed.
That's the seed. So you put the palm, you open the palm of your hand, you put the seed in your hand to see what it is. Then once you look at it, you discover what it is, you take the seed out of the palm of your hand and you plant it. Once you plant it in the ground. Okay. Once it takes root in the ground, it has a root system. And then it's established. And that's what this word means. Okay. So to be established, it's not that he just did it, everyone. It was established with Aharon from that moment forward. So the thing that he did, he established it, Aharon, to the front of the menorah that was lifted up and ascended the lamps in the place that he told him, Ka'asher, according to the command of Yahweh to Moshe. Okay. That word I share right there, anytime you see this word Ka'asher, meaning like or as, this word literally means to tie. So if you notice, I'm using Hebrew agricultural terms like the palm, I'm using the seed, I'm using the ox head with the staff. I'm going to use this here. Is mul means forward, or means actually words too. Remember, mul means words. That's where it comes from. It means to speak. So what we're seeing is, it's like the Most High is speaking through that fire. Okay. And of course, we said, well, they don't hear any words. No, you might not be hearing any words. Okay. You and I might not be hearing any words, but all because you don't hear any words doesn't mean nothing's not being said. And I'll give you this example. Because we're dealing with that which is supernatural. Okay. That's what you and I need to understand. We're dealing with that which is supernatural. Our Elohim is not a God that's a man. He's not a plaything, right? So when you look at Psalms, chapter number 19, I just made a statement that said there are words that sometimes you can't hear. Okay. So for the leader, interesting. This is a Psalm of David. The Shamayim, they declare, they make a declaration of the glory of Elohim. And the dome of the sky speaks the work of his hands. Every day it utters speech, and every night it reveals knowledge. Without speech, without a word, their voices being heard, without their voices being heard. So they're talking, they're making utterances every day and every night. There's things that are being spoken without words that you and I can hear, without their voices being heard, but it doesn't mean that they're not making a declaration, they're not uttering speech every single day. So their lines go out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them he places a tent. Okay, so when you think about in them, he places a tent for the sun. In what? In the heavens. And in the dome of the sky, what they call the rakia. So it's an enclosed environment. And Yah says he places in them, he places a tent for the sun. And what's the sun? What does the sun give off, everyone?
Gives off heat.
It gives off heat, but it gives off light. So the tent, listen, praise be to the living Elohim that we're able to hear this. So he says that I want you to go ahead and bring this menorah, and it's in the Mishkan. And what I want you to do is I want you to take that menorah that I put there, forgive my drawing, I'm not an artist, you guys know that. And I want you to keep it what? Like they say, the kids say today, what do you say? Keep it lit. I want you to keep it lit. Why do I want you to keep it lit? Why is this menorah have 7 branches? Why?
Has to do with the oath, an oath.
It has to do with the oath. Praise be to the mighty Yah. I ain't letting nobody off of this class until we get this. If Yah tells us that he puts a tent for the sun inside of the heavens, the sun brings light. How many days?
Every day, 7 days a week.
Every day for 7 days a week. And it's supposed to stay what?
Lit.
Lit. So are you and I finally discovering, or are we going to wait for the Jewish people to help us understand this, because they don't even know what Yah is telling us right now? I want to encourage you to let you know that you and I are the sons and the daughters of the living Elohim. And if we honestly and earnestly want to know what he's talking about, we have to do our research. We have to spend time with him. We have to use the tools. It's not a guessing game. It's like put the pieces of the puzzle together. He's telling us when I got this menorah inside this tent, it's like him putting the sun inside of in the heavens in order to bring light. Because remember, the Most High said, in his presence, there is no darkness. It's only light. Our King, our Elohim, does not dwell in darkness. Okay, he'll show up and turn everything dark so he can show up. But he's not an Elohim of darkness, everyone. He has the light going on inside of the Mishkan, because he's telling them when you light this, you need to make it sure that the light is before where it's facing a certain way. Okay. I want that light to show the Mishkan. I want it to show the showbread. I want the light to be. And so what is the light doing? What is the light doing? Come on, somebody tell me. Because remember it's pointed, the word to be in front is to speak. Now look at what he told us right here. He told us in Psalms for David, the heavens are declaring the glory of Elohim, and the dome of the sky speaks the work of his hands. Every day it utters speech. So if it utters speech every single day, and that's because of the cycles of when the sun comes, okay, to bring the light, it's speaking. It's uttering speech. That menorah is uttering speech every single day and every single night. That's why it don't supposed to go out. Yah has that light being shed on the altar of incense and the shlukan, the bread of presence, and the bread of presence is right there for the 12 tribes of Israel. Those are the only items that are inside of the Mishkan is the menorah. And I'm talking about the part where they can go in, okay, and do this service. And the bread of presence, which is on that table, and then they have the menorah, which is the light, and the bread, and then they have the incense altar. That was their daily stuff that they had to do. Okay, they had to make sure that this was taken care of. Okay, so even when the bread was there, they didn't eat the bread; they left the bread there, and they would take some of the lavona that was on that table. Instead of putting the bread on the incense altar, they would take the lavona from the bread table and then go put it on the incense altar along with other incense, sweet aromas for a pleasing aroma to the Most High, something sweet to Him, as a reminder of the children of Israel. So this light that's in the tabernacle represents the order of Yah, but also too that Mishkan is literally like what? That Mishkan is like the heavens. Okay. The part that they're working in is like the heavens. The part behind the curtain is the heaven of heavens. Okay, so what you and I see right now with our eyes is the heavens. That's where we can see it because of the light. Behind the curtain is the heaven of heavens. And this is the reason why he said if anybody went there and looked, they would die, because you can't look at Yah and live, right? And he said, this is where I'll speak to you from the heaven of heavens, because that's why that ark is there. It's because it's a picture of his throne. You understand? Let's put the pieces together. So he built the Mishkan is literally like a picture of the earth, for lack of better terms. It's a picture of the earth and its separation between the heavens. Okay. Where Yah allows us to do the service we need to do, but there's a part that he won't let anybody go into, okay, except for once a year. So Aaron didn't go in there all the time, okay? That menorah had to be lit because it represents a speech that's being uttered in the heavens. That's what that means. Now, I don't know about you, but I am totally delighted that the Most High has revealed to us more about what the menorah represents. Praise be to the living Elohim for his glory, for his majesty, and for his person. Oh, praise be to the mighty Yah. Hallelujah. Woo! Praise the mighty Yah. I ain't never seen that. Any questions, contributions, additions? Anybody want to say anything? That was a trip, wasn't it? Everybody go to sleep on me? I'm the only person tripping. Like, what? Hallelujah. Praise Yahweh. Thank you guys for coming to class tonight. If Yah's willing, I'll see you on Yom Kamishi.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Shalom.
Shalom.